Hello everyone, and welcome to another video with Anthelion Helicopters, with me Alex Chaunt and our new stupendous, magnificent operations manager Sophia. We're here in the new hangar and our new reception area, so we're not in the air today, although we'll put some nice clips for you in the air. We're here on the ground, and the main purpose of the video today is we're going to be talking about if you're an international student, why on earth would you want to come and train in the good US of A, and also how would you do it? It's a fairly daunting task. But our aim today is to put it down and into bite-sized chunks so that it really makes sense. And then Sophia's going to talk around actually how that process works, and I'll talk around the why, the what bit, and also being English myself, my journey to do it in the first place. So without further ado, we will start getting into some of the specifics about it. And to start with, we're going to talk about why would you come to the USA to do helicopter flight training.
So Alex, as a foreigner from the UK, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Are we going to say Australia there or something like that?
There's just a lot of countries there, so.
It's the UK.
Okay.
Yes.
What was the appeal of coming to the States to do your helicopter training?
Other than the weather?
Yes, the weather.
Yeah, the weather was a lot better than Drizzleville, England.
I'm sure.
So I made the decision to come to the States for training over 23 years ago right now, for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the weather was one of them. We'll get into that. But, the main thing is actually value for money. I know we all think of helicopter training in this country as expensive, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. It's certainly got more expensive since I did it 25 years ago. But still, it's still over probably half the amount that it is in England right now. And so that is, when you're talking about doing 200 hours plus all the way to instructor, that makes a huge difference, right? And when we're talking, in the UK, it's probably around about $200,000 to do your helicopter licenses.
Wow.
And they also have a bunch of weird regulations as well, like, you can't do your instrument rating in anything less than a twin turbine A-star, or a twin screw, as they call it over there, which is like $2,000 an hour plus. Wow. And so, you end up having to, sell your kidneys, mortgage your house, and rob a bank at the same time in the rest of the world to do it. So, yes, it is expensive in this country, but, comparatively speaking to the rest of the world, it is so much better value for money. And you can do things like your instrument rating in an R22. And with us here, we have a really good simulator to cut down the cost as well at the same time. Right. So, we've probably got the best value for money around here in terms of what we actually have at this place. But yeah, it's a lot cheaper. And let's be honest, it's expensive. I had to work 3 jobs when I was learning. But got to do what you're going to do. So anyway, so value for money, definitely one. The next one I would suggest is quality of training. The FAA has been around for a long time. And once they accredit a school, we are what's called a Part 141 school, which essentially, Sophia knows this as well, everything that we have has to get accredited and checked and constantly evaluated by the FAA. The Part 61 school is kind of like a mum and pop shop, which anyone can do, and really there's no guidelines or standards other than you have to be, you have to have actually done stuff in there to take the test, but actually how you get to that point is kind of up in the air. Whereas in a Part 141 school, the FAA comes in and it has to approve all of your syllabuses, has to approve all of your instructors, they have to get checked out. They have to actually come and look at your aircraft, check out your aircraft as well. They even measure your classrooms, which is crazy. They actually come and measure your classrooms and make sure that your desk is this position here, and you've got enough room here, and have you got adequate facilities to get water, and have you got a computer to do weather planning and all this other stuff. So the long and short of it is it takes a long time to get this accreditation. And you have to go through a lot of hoops, but that raises the standard, and I think that's what the FAA is known to do with the quality of flight training, that we are seen as a benchmark throughout the world, in terms of that sort of quality of training. Linked to that as well is that the FAA certifications and ratings tend to be valid in a lot of countries around the world as well. We certainly get a lot of international students from the Far East and Oceania and down in there, and our certifications, FAA certifications are valid, so it's a lot easier for them to do. In Europe, you have to do add-ons because it's all EASA stuff there, but we'll get to that later. But for the vast majority of the time, people can take their FAA certifications that they get in this country and then use them back in their foreign countries at the same time. So that actually helps. Geographical variation. The United States is rather a big place. We're here on the West Coast in LA, but there are flight schools all over the country, and nothing could be more true when you're helicopter flying. If you can learn a variety of conditions, it will make you a better pilot. I personally think, we personally think that LA is probably the best place to learn because you have ocean, you have urban, you have mountains, you have desert, you have sea level operations, high density altitude operations. So you have it all within a sort of 2-hour area. Not to mention just how complex the airspace is. But we'll get into that. But in terms of geography and theoretically, when it's not raining here, which it has been so far this year, you get good weather as well. Although it's been raining cats and dogs for most of this year, and it's felt like England.
Just a little bit.
So every weekend we had, it was rain again. And you think, flipping heck, I should have just stayed in England. But no, all joking aside, generally speaking, we probably have 360 out of 365 days a year where we can actually fly in LA, which makes things like our accelerated courses, when people want to come and rattle through their training as fast as possible, it makes more sense here than some of the other parts of the country up north. Where up north is definitely a lot more cloudy and gloomy and rainy, where months on end go and you can't fly. So definitely that geographical variation that you get here in the States makes for better training, more consistent training, more year-round training, and so you learn more as well at the same time. English language proficiency. Now that sounds kind of obvious. However, English has long been voted as the language of the skies, even though in some countries of the world where I've flown, it doesn't seem that way. But theoretically, every single country in the world in their national airspace system, whether you're fixed wing or rotor wing, should use English as the primary language. So coming to the United States, obviously you will be exposed to that, and you'll become very, very proficient. Now, it sounds obvious, but if English is not your first language, we do have quite a lot of international contingent here, and there's actually Eric sitting behind the desk right now, who is definitely not English. He's one of my fellow Euros here, although he's not quite an English person. More the Norwegian side of things, or the German side of things in your sense here. Sorry, Bjorn was Norwegian. But, sorry, Eric. I completely offended Eric then by calling him Norwegian. Where actually he's German. He's one of the sausage-eating people over in Germany, right?
Correct.
Sauerkraut and beer and stuff like that, right, Eric? Anyway, but the point being that a lot of people will come here because it will hopefully aid their English proficiency, and by the time they go back to their native country, or even if they stay here and actually keep flying like Eric did, then your proficiency gets a heck of a lot better. Networking. Now, this is a really interesting one I did. At the end of the day, the United States is the biggest helicopter environment in the world in terms of number of pilots, job opportunities, and variety of what we do over in this country. Nothing is more true than the helicopter world of networking gets you, those connections to who you know, what you do, and which job you can get. The industry is set up with, they now call it VAI, the Vertical Association International. It used to be called HAI up until this year, Helicopter Association International. But because we now have all of the, the vertical takeoff and lift stuff, right, which I have my own views on, shall we say. Electric powered things that go up and down that probably won't be flying for the next 10 years. They have a lot of networking opportunities as well. New people will meet each year and go through that. A lot of online, Facebook groups and other opportunities. There's companies already go and visit as well and have open days with. So, in terms of actually learning everything and learning about the whole industry and networking for the jobs and the pilots, it's a really, really good country to come to for that. That was certainly key for me because I wanted to get into all different types of flying. There's every type of flying under the sun in this country. Linked to that as well is the aviation infrastructure that the United States have. It's getting more advanced by the day, I would say. It used to be, pretty well, backwards is the wrong word, but it's taken a while to get going in some ways in the United States. But now it's very, very good. In terms of things like the types of GPS work that you can do, when we're talking instrument flying, we were all back in the day using VORs and MDBs and all that sort of stuff. Now we've migrated over to much more of the GPS side, so all the GPS approaches that we do with every airport around here at the same time. So the type of infrastructure that we have, the number of airports that we have, it is second to none when you're talking about getting more advanced types of flying. Going, and so that whatever you do here will be applicable all over the world, and again we do that here as well. All of our aircraft, when we're teaching instruments, have the ability to do conventional ILS localizer approaches, but you can also do LPV and all the other types of RNAV approaches with GPS as well. And pretty much most of the airports around here will facilitate both at the same time, which is kind of good. LA in general, when I'm talking about infrastructure, I mean, I think I heard a statistic that there is, in terms of airspace, this is probably the busiest airspace in the world in terms of number of airports within a 25-mile radius, and there are big airports as well. And so when you're learning here, you are literally hopping from airport to airport to airport to airport to airport, big, small, massive, medium, in the middle of the sticks in the desert, and that variety that you get with the infrastructure they have makes you a better pilot because of it. And the last one, the cultural side, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, as I come from England, where I want a pub on the corner, and I don't get pubs in this country with all my big bugbear. I have to go to sports bars, but oh well. Right. But LA itself, the United States obviously is a melting pot across the whole of the United States from a cultural perspective. LA itself is a real melting pot of cultural diversity. And Long Beach, where we're located, you're so close to everything that you'll come here and eat pretty much every food under the sun in your stay and be able to see so many different things in your spare time. You could come here and you're not just going to be locked in your hotel room studying. There is a lot else to do. Mm-hmm. And so, incorporating your learning with the whole cultural experience of learning the United States and everything there is to do around here, with 20 other million people in LA, when you can, surf 1 minute and go rock climbing the next minute and go skiing the next minute and, go shopping mall yourself to oblivion and spend all your money on stuff at shopping malls is whatever you really want. So there is a great variety of things to do, which actually really helps you stay and makes it more and more enjoyable. In summary with that, then we've got quite a few things really. So we've got the cost, the infrastructure, the cultural side, the FAA's reputation, the geographical side of things as well, the networking opportunities, the English proficiency, not to mention the general quality of training, which will lead me on to really just talk about us quickly at Anthelion Helicopters before I hand the reins over to Zofia to talk about the actual process, because a lot of people think, I'd love to come and learn in the States. How on earth do I do it? It's a pretty daunting task, and Zofia's going to start to break that down for you and actually be your main point of contact here as well, should you want to actually come and do training with us to make it into a much more manageable, seamless experience with us. But certainly from my experience, when I came here 20-something years ago, it was nowhere near as advanced as it is now, and we didn't have Zofia either, so I had to talk to somebody who I'd never met before on the edge of a phone, which was absolutely terrible. But now it's a lot, with that process, we've got a place that's a lot more seamless. Yeah. But Anthelion Helicopters, obviously you guys know from YouTube that we take training rather seriously, and we think we're pretty good at it. I think we're a pretty good team. Even the Germans as well. Sid Meier's he's all right. I have to make excuses for him sometimes, but no, and all joking aside, we are set up as a company because we don't train people to meet minimum standards. We've always trained people to be the best pilots they possibly can be. I use it jokingly, but it's not like you can, pull it over to the side of the 405 freeway when something goes wrong in a helicopter. You're not just training to a minimum standard. You better really know what's going on, and that's how we train. We don't train you to just pass a test. That's just not a way to train safely in this market and this environment. So, we've been around now for 10 years. Training people from all over the world, and I've disappeared from YouTube, which is probably a good thing, quite frankly. Oh no, I'm back on, that's terrible. Oh no, you've got to see this is actually really annoying, because you've got to see my face twice. You've got to see me there and see me here at the same time, so that must be actually really annoying, and I feel sorry for every one of you if I can do that. But all joking aside, yes, we've been here for over 10 years now, and we train people from all over the world, hundreds of people through the programs, and everyone here is family, and everyone here is teaching to make people the best pilots they possibly can be. So, my background, 20-something years flying, and now fly as a full-time test pilot as well. And we're always looking for ways to improve. Even and every time, quite frankly, when I'm flying, I'm still trying to find ways of improving. So, I know everyone here does at the same time. So, without further ado, so that I don't just keep talking forever and a million years, I will hand over to Zofia and for the next section, and actually talk more about the process itself and how we can make that as easy and seamless for you all, so that you have the best information you possibly can do.